Meeting to order. Roll call, everyone is here except Jesse. Adoption of the agenda. We do have one addition under 7.
Yeah, 7.
New business. We're going to do C, LOB resolution. Other than that, there are no changes.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended. All in favor? Passes 6-0. All right. Item 4, opportunity for visitors. I think we have most of you guys. Are you all here for either class or the presentations, correct? All right, you're coming up in a little bit. Item 5 is the consent agenda. You have before you the minutes of the February 3rd meeting, cash balance report, check journal, activities account, and I don't think we have any donations, do we?
One, we just were made aware of one for $200 from Mike Kesher for the boys basketball team.
Okay. Just a minute to look that over if you haven't already.
Yeah, and I apologize for the late addition of those. Closing out the month's books, so we got that cash balance report. There will be some transfers from the general fund into K-12 at risk, special ed. After making those payments, Ashley, we got those payments in. Vocational funds after payroll, so we'll be making those transfers to bring the cash balance report back into positive. All the rest are negative due to federal funds where we will spend the money and then draw that down.
Anybody have any questions regarding the consent agenda? I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Passes 6-0. All right, we'll move on to item 6, old business. Modify board policy DH, bonding of employees.
This is the second read on this. This is a modification of this policy, to align with state statute and what is in practice. We have already acquired the bond for our treasurer, and then if the board so chooses, we can acquire bonds for the superintendent, clerk, or any of the others, maybe secretaries or principals that you might see appropriate. But typically, as of right now, those are all covered under our liability insurance policies.
So there's really no additional benefit to us to add them.
No.
Just make sure the treasurer's bonded.
Yep, exactly.
Anybody have any questions? No?
I move to approve modification to board policy DH as presented.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the modification to the board policy DH. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Okay. Let's see, high school locker room update, just information.
So as of now, I have had meetings with Coach Schmidt, Coach Baird, Coach Cook, gaining input. We had one student involved with that. I'd like to get more students involved with that as well. And then we have a contract signed and we have plans. We have the original plans sent to Mammoth for them to work up the estimates and look at cost analysis and those types of things. So there's not a lot to report, but just giving you an update is where we're at on that priority item.
Okay. Any questions?
No, thank you for pursuing those updates.
Mhm.
Okay, item C, High School Alternative Education Center. Don't have much.
No, not a lot there. Just Mr. Mason and I've had multiple conversations about this, and we just feel like at this point in time, we may be on the verge of offering too many opportunities for our students, and so we want to make sure we do our due diligence to make sure that we're not having unintended consequences of opening up something that we don't know a lot about. And so we'll continue to look at it and make sure that it's something that we might want to do, but we don't want to jump in the middle of it and then it causes more issues than it's actually worth. So at this point in time, we are kind of exploring other options. Just as a reminder, we still are working with the ESDAC Alternative Ed Center in Great Bend. We still do offer the the virtual through ESDAC as well. And then we also offer credit recovery, and then the credit recovery in June for our students. So we do offer a multitude of options to make sure that students do stay up on their credits. So we're not dropping an option. We're just making sure that we're doing our due diligence on the option that we would add if we chose to do that. Any questions on that? Anything to add, Mr. Mason?
No.
This isn't necessarily specific to the alternatives room, but I just was going to ask if we had talked previously about the securing of the activity center and those types of things. I just wanted to ask if that was specifically going to be dependent upon that decision, or are we still looking at that as some options as well?
Still looking at options to secure that building as well.
Perfect.
Yep.
Any other questions? Not, we'll move on to item 7, new business. Out of state travel, we will start with the gifted students. I think they have a little presentation for us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Just here, is this where you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
You want to sit?
Thank you.
So I'm sure most of you know, or all of you, I'm Martha Wondra, a gifted facilitator. This is Samantha Lovett, she's a freshman. Christian Honor, he's a sophomore, and Connor Bohr, he's a freshman. Also, we have Melody Brady on our team. She's our team captain, but she had a fair board meeting tonight that was scheduled before this was, and so we have to present without her.
Okay.
Hello, today we stand before you to formally present what LifeSmarts is and the purpose of our trip. We have made it to the LifeSmarts Nationals competition, as we have won the state competition on the 29th of January. We will be headed to Chicago and will be there 4 days. Well, first off, what is LifeSmarts? LifeSmarts is an organization that develops skills and educates on consumer and marketplace skills in a fun manner while it's rewarding for demonstrated knowledge. There are a couple ways that students can study and interact with LifeSmarts. First off, you have the classroom, where you have a multitude of activities. You have group activities, online activities that they provide. And in competition, they have a few competitions. First have a quiz for state qualification, and in state, it follows a game show style. LifeSmarts educates in a few key groups: technology and workforce preparation, environment, personal finance, health and safety, and consumer rights and responsibilities.
LifeSmarts, as previously stated, is an educational competition that is very similar to Scholars Bowl in the sense of how the competition is played out with the buzzers. And it is less academic stuff focused on math and more stuff that you are to use when you graduate high school, when you get out into the real world. It covers, again, all of the topics that was just previously stated, and it provides a multitude of opportunities to speak with other kids that are our age group that have our interests, that are at the same intelligence level as us, that we can communicate with maturely.
You may be wondering who runs LifeSmarts. LifeSmarts is ran in Kansas by the Kansas Council of Economic Education. The National Consumers League runs it, internationally. They are a national nonprofit organization founded in 1899. They promote social and economic justice for consumers and workers in the United States. They work with other nonprofits and government organizations such as the Better Business Bureau and the Councils of Economic Education.
Going to this event will open up many opportunities for scholarships and the opportunity to see a new place, to travel to, a new place, and a chance to actually win the whole national LifeSmarts competition and have that honor to do so.
So we passed out little packets for you, and in there there's the facts about LifeSmarts. Then there's the sample or the draft itinerary, which is tells us all about what we have to do, and when we eat, what meals we have with the group, what meals we would have separately. We have a little bit of time. We start on Thursday morning. We would start on Thursday morning if we get to go, and go to Wichita, and then take a plane and should arrive in Chicago around noon. That's a time that they check in and take your team photos and get ready, and competitions and activities, not competitions necessarily, but activities start at 4:30 in the afternoon or 5, where we get to know our sister team, which we don't know who they are right now, but we'll get the opportunity to meet them. And then they have a dinner that evening. Then Friday, I might have to look at my schedule to see. You guys can all see what happens. But Friday, there's competitions for the most part, and then we have dinner and stuff on our own, because there's a VIP reception for the people from the Kansas Council on Economic Education and the other people who've helped make it possible. They have a dinner for them on Friday night. And then Saturday morning, we get up, have breakfast at the conference, and then we have snack and stuff at lunchtime, but there'll be 2 competitions that day. And then we get to, hopefully we'll make it to the Sweet 16, but then in the afternoon from like 2 to 6, we will get to explore Chicago. And Mr. Crowdis and I have been talking about possible ideas, and he's going to share some with the kids or to see what might work during that 4-hour time frame. And we'll go back, and there's a masquerade party that night. The next morning they'll get up and get to have breakfast, take the luggage out of the room and get ready, and then go to the competition. And then after the competition, they'll have awards, and then they'll have a lunch, and then we'll be free to go. One thing about LifeSmarts, they say that the coach and every team member has to be at all the events, or they're disqualified, which is kind of cool. Keep everybody there preparing, unless it's like unless they've excused us, but they say we need to be there. That's good. And but based on that itinerary, there's 5 meals that they won't eat with the group. They'll eat on their own. Primarily, they'll one on the way there, one's the Saturday afternoon and evening one, and then Sunday when they get home, or on their way home, not when they get home. And then the other part of your packet is and travel expense agreement from the Kansas Council on Economic Education. We're very fortunate that they're going to pay for our motel room, our transportation from the motel to the airport, and vice versa. They'll also pay for, airline tickets, all that, and they've arranged it for us. And most of the meals are free because they're provided at the competition.
We once again thank the Kansas Council of Economics Education for the paid trip out to Chicago and everything else that comes along with it, including the national level opportunity.
Do you have questions?
Exciting. Congratulations on winning the state competition.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And a pro tip, if you purchase a Sternberg membership, it gets you free admission into 2 of the Chicago museums.
That's right. I have a Sternberg membership, so thank you for that. If you guys decide you're done with your packet, we'll recycle them for you when you're done.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for considering.
Thank you.
So just to reiterate, the Kansas Council of Economic Education is paying for their airfare, hotel, and then also transfer from the hotel to the airport and back. And then the expenses that are on the students would be a few meals, the sightseeing activities that we would do, But I will also tell you, I've had a donor reach out to me already and express interest in picking up that. Part of the question also was if the board is okay with me helping to chaperone the trip. The donor has also expressed interest in picking up my travel expenses, hotel, the meals that would not be provided as well. So that's part of the basically part of the motion to approve that, and just a consensus as to if you're okay with me traveling along. I offered simply because I do have a familiarity of Chicago to be able to help in that chaperoning of the males that are going along with Miss Wandra.
Because also the National Life Science Committee, they're pretty strict about
who can come.
And it's only coaches, so he could be an assistant coach.
I'm the assistant coach.
Yeah. And the team members. I think they do that because it's the best way to keep everybody safe, is by limit the numbers where they can keep everybody accounted for and secure. Yeah.
So are you just needing the okay to go, or are you needing transportation to get from Hoisington to the airport?
I believe we'll get transportation, thank you, through 428. So
Okay.
we need your approval.
Just to go.
Yeah.
And you're taking 4 students and
That's
then
correct.
the 2 adults, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These 3 and Melody Brady was not.
Okay. Okay, since we're kind of doing this all in one motion, we'll go ahead and have FCCLA come up. Thank you guys for your presentation.
I'm not seeing Mrs. Wonderly. Do I need one? Okay.
No.
You guys need to talk?
Yeah. Where's the pink suit?
I forgot it at home. From the middle school scholars.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Nice.
all right, so last Monday, we had Pure Ed selection. AJ was down there to pick the new state Pure Ed people, and Riker Stout from Hoisington made the team. He has to be at National Life Society meeting in Orlando, Florida, July 5th through the 9th, through opening and closing ceremony. AJ, Braden, and then Kaylin Axman, they also qualified for state in their star events to compete at state. AJ and Braden, they would like to go again. If they don't qualify in their star event, they will do a skills demonstration and also judge for the state of Kansas. We are always short on judges. So we have like 300 people go and 200 of them do star events. And so we always need like 3 judges for every 1 person is what we need. So we go and volunteer and judge. And then Aspen Galena, she is new. She came over from Central Plains earlier in the year. And I don't know, we kind of adopted her. And anyhow, she got into FCCLA and she wanted to learn more about it. And she ran for district office. She made district office. And she's competing at the state with a LEO, a leadership educational opportunity. And she would like to go along and learn more about star events. So she's preparing herself for next year to compete in star events. And then right there is the breakdown of our cost to attend. At this time, we're asking for permission for me to take the kids out of state, July 5th through 10th, transportation to the airport and back. As of right now, if we go to Hayes, we can catch a flight from Hayes to Denver, and then a straight flight from Denver to Orlando, and then back, and then possible help with meals like we did last year.
Do you remember what we gave last year?
Oh, I did not look that up. But we did it along the same lines as what we do for state athletic events that go, kind of a
Per meal.
per meal, but it equates out to about $25 per day, or it's a little bit more if the hotel doesn't have breakfast, and I think it's $35 a day if the hotel doesn't have breakfast.
And it's
And
easy to look
for
up the
student.
GSA per diem rates, so.
Yeah, and then you know, through some other Title IV funding, you know, sometimes we pitch in to help out maybe shortfalls in terms of, you know, travel and some of those, and then just the transportation use of the vehicles during that time frame.
So you'll be taking 4 or 5?
4.
4.
Mhm.
So Aspen won't be going.
Yeah,
Just getting
Aspen's
ready to go.
Going.
she'll be going,
Kaylin
Okay.
is not going.
right?
Oh, okay.
I
I
think
see.
it's fair time, around fair time.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
makes sense.
That does
So-
make sense.
Okay.
She's doing a star event this year because Mr. President and Mr. VP of Star Events said every officer has to do one. And so she followed through with the commitment and she's like, okay, what do I got to do? Well, then with all the snow and everything, we had a modified star events because it got canceled 2 or 3 times. And then we had a late start. And since Plainville was the host, they had a late start. Nothing could start until 10. So anybody who didn't have to compete, just kind of like they had to present. I judged them and then they made it on.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, guys.
all right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Anybody have any questions for them? I move to approve both HHS gifted and HHS FCCLA out-of-state travel of students and staff as presented, and meals as,
Financial support is needed.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Good luck to all of you.
Good luck, everybody.
Congratulations on your success.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. You can stay if you want to.
You don't have to. Okay, we will move on to, where are we at?
B.
Oh yeah, B, request for proposal for Roosevelt roof.
So attached on your packet, you will find, thank you all. You'll find a request for proposal for the overlay of Roosevelt roof. Working with DCS, they were able to get us an estimate of what that is going to be, and then they will take this proposal tomorrow and publish it and send it out to multiple contractors, including any of those that we've actually requested for them to send that to. And then on there also is the timeline. We will get the bids back in plenty of time to be able to review those, accept those bids, and then have the bids available for review for the board prior to the April 7th board meeting to be able to approve and move forward with that. As you look at that, just you know, FYI, as you're kind of thinking, where is this money coming from? This will be capital outlay expenditures. Maybe a portion of it will be contingency fund, but that will be spelled out specifically in the motion for the acceptance of the bids next month. This request for proposal, as well as any contracts with DCS, has also been reviewed by Don Reif, and he has signed off on it. There's one little thing on it, but he said that it wasn't anything that should make up, shouldn't be the hill to die on there, and everything else that he said looked good for us to proceed. DCS fulfills all of the bid laws for us as schools with this kind of a project.
Where all does this get published besides the dispatcher?
It'll be in the dispatch. We'll put it on the district website, and I think they have an ad ready to go in the Great Bend Tribune.
Mr. Crowdis, on page 4, it has the wrong school district in the
Okay.
factors.
Okay, I will. You said page 4.
Page 4, it says USD 446.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'll let Daryl know that this evening, and he'll have that changed before any of that gets sent out. And I'll have him double check that, and I'll double check it again.
And if I could just ask a question on best value, that doesn't lock us into necessarily the lowest cost, right?
That is correct.
Perfect.
That is correct. If we do get a bid that is just significantly, outrageously low, but you know, because there's also a process of interview and you know, communication with the contractors so that we don't get locked into that just too good to be true type of bid. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? I move to approve the request for proposal as prepared by DCS as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal. All in favor? Passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, LOB resolution.
This was brought to my attention on Friday afternoon from KSDE. Every year we need to give KSDE a heads up as to what percentage we want to use as our LOB percentage. In recent years, the percentage has gone from a 30% as the general rule of thumb to, or if you pass a resolution, then you can go up to 33%. Because more and more schools have gone up to 33%, the actual state average right now is about 31.6. So my recommendation is for us to pass the resolution stating that we will use the state average percentage, as that might actually adjust up just a little bit, and then I will submit the paperwork to the state. I would probably go ahead and present or submit, you know, a little bit higher value to give a little cushion, but where it all comes back down to is when we develop the budget, we're not locked into using that full 31.6 or 32%. We make adjustments based on mill levies to determine exactly what that percentage looks like. So that's why it's worded the way that it is, but it does require a resolution by the board, and then our board clerk will sign off on that, and then I'll submit the report probably later this week. Any questions on that? No. You sign it every year. It's one of those things I have you sign, and you're like, oh, why do I have to sign this? And remember, LOB is our local option budget. This is a supplementary general fund, and that is all of that money is raised through local taxes, as well as we get about 45 cents on the dollar state aid from the state of Kansas. So the motion is just there in bold.
Yeah, I know. I just don't want to read it all.
You want me to?
I move the following resolution. Unified School District number 431, Barton County, Kansas. Resolution. Be it resolved that the above named school board shall be authorized to make a local option percentage in the amount of the state average percent for the 2025-2026 school year. certificate. This is to certify that the above resolution was duly adopted by the Board of Education of Unified School District number 431, Barton County, Kansas, on the 3rd day of March 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the following resolution. I'm not reading it again. All in favor? Passes 6-0. That's a mouthful. All right. We will move on to reports. We'll start with Mrs. Cowan at Lincoln.
Good evening. A quick updates. Third grade Mrs. Schneider received a donor's choose for some Sphero robots. We brought it up a while ago, but I just wanted to touch on it because it's been such a great addition to our classroom. They're really fun, really engaging, and really easy for teachers to use. So those have been great for us to have. Special shout out for Mrs. Schneider for putting the extra effort into getting those for our students. Our 5th grade went to the circus. The Shriners pay for them to take a trip every year, and they get to go and see all of that. It was a great trip. Lots of good feedback from that. Our honor roll is coming up on March 13th at 8:15. Vivian Lensner and Chastity Bortz went to the county spelling bee. Had a great showing from all Hoisington people. It was fantastic to see us all there and spell some really difficult words. In fact, Mrs. Applegate was with me. She's our local coordinator, and we had to look up one of the words that the kids got out on because we didn't know either. So shout out to them. There's some tough cookies for getting up there and trying that. We had our music programs for our 2nd and 3rd grade and 4th and 5th on December 5th and January 23rd. We had a packed auditorium, and it was really great. It was live streamed, so if you get a chance to check out Mr. Quaid's YouTube page, they're great to see. Our flower sales will start for Lincoln next week. Hopefully going to hit a little bit before spring break and not just over spring break this year. Our state assessments are coming up in April. 2nd grade does a reading practice test that's formatted just like the state assessments, kind of get them ready for taking it. 3rd grade does reading and math. 4th grade does math, reading, and social studies. The social studies is a writing type project format. And then 5th grade does math, reading, and science. Our SLCs are coming up next week. I'm really looking forward to seeing some students present. Hopefully we have great attendance. Our first conferences had 100% attendance. So looking to have that again, hopefully. Everybody's invited to our reading engagement night, book fair, art show coming up on May 6th. It's a great night to showcase our students' work from the year. Also, one more date, May 20th is our field day. So we're going to look to start planning that soon. So those of you that have students, mark it down. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Brunger?
Good evening, everybody. Feels like it's been forever since I've been here, so hopefully I get everything. If I overlap, I apologize. But at the end of January, beginning of February, we had a couple opportunities for our 8th graders to experience, post high school opportunities. One was Reality U, and that's where United Way comes in, and they take a survey that they get prior to the date, and that plugs in their interests and what they want to do when they grow up and things like that. And then they take that, and then based on their GPA, they get a monthly income, and if they want to be married, then they're paired with somebody else. And then they go around, they have to buy a house, and they have to buy cars and insurance, and some of them realize pretty quick that money runs out fast when it's your money. And United Way, they have the fake babies that they bring in, and the kids got to carry them around. It's fun to watch them their eyes pop out of their head the first time they got to carry that around and can't get it to stop crying. So it's a real eye opener for them. They all kind of, whine about it when we tell them we're going to do it, but it seems like they all have a good time once they're there. This year was the first year with 10th graders, so we had some high school kids over there too, and went really well. After that, we had a Barton Career Day, or Miss Millsap has been, we've done this several years, and Miss Millsap contacts Barton, and again, kids, plug in their interests and what they want to do, what they want to go into, and then Barton County groups them by those, and there's several other schools there, and then they just kind of go around and learn about the different programs that Barton offers through their interests, giving them knowledge of opportunities that, for those who may not want a 4-year. I mean, some of those kids can get in and out in, a semester and a half and have a certificate and be qualified to have some good paying jobs around the area here. So it's a good opportunity for them to see what's out there. As Miss Cowan said, we had our spelling bee at the middle school too. Xander Montez won it for us, and then he went out to Great Bend to the county spelling bee, finished second there. So very good representation for Hoisington out there at the county spelling bee. We also have our student-led conferences next week on the 13th. We'll post it on our website tomorrow and send out an all call and all text, so and get that information out to everybody. We did have our kids take a picture. Miss Amanda made timesheets, that the kids were supposed to take home. So if you have a kid in middle school and you have not got one, you might ask them about it. You should have. But we also have them bring in their phones, take a picture, and text it to the parents, because that usually works a little bit better sometimes. But like I said, we'll post it on the website tomorrow and send out an all text. That way everybody's aware that they should be getting some information if they haven't already. We'll start at 1, go to 9, and look forward to seeing everybody there at that point. I'm also going to meet with the admin's going to meet with a group of teachers about our schedule. What went well this year, what was good about it, what we need to improve on. Just make sure we're giving our kids the best opportunity to learn and be successful. What we have now works pretty well. It's just our interventions, they're kind of choppy, and we got to take them out of class. And if we can find a way where we don't have to do that and get them all done without them having this class time, that'd be better. So that's probably the main thing we're going to be looking at that point. Our spring pictures are going to be March 26th. We'll also at that time do winter and spring sports pictures. So we'll have to get the basketball uniforms out and wrestling singlets out so we can get those taken care of. But not a big deal there. State assessments also coming up. We'll do reading and math on April 14th. The week of April 14th, we're going to do that a little different this year. In the past 5-6 years, we've had all the teachers a part of it. We've had different kids in all the classrooms with 2 teachers monitoring, or sometimes 3, depending on, what we have available. But we feel that maybe if we're going to try this year, the kids will test during their regular class time. So we're not going to change up the schedule. When you have 3rd hour English, you'll do your testing 3rd hour English, and we'll do that for 2 days. That way there's no rush to rush through it. Our teachers feel that, because now each kid will be testing with that subject teacher, and, they can, they have a better idea what to look for and things like that. So we'll see if that, changes the scores or if it works better, feels better, and then, we'll go from there. Science will be April 21st and 22nd. And then we got some end of the year events coming up. 8th grade promotion will be May 16th at 7. We'll be at the activity center. That's the Friday after high school graduation. And we'll have more information coming out on that as well in the near future. It's kind of, you never know when to send it out. You send it out too early, people forget about it. Maybe not promotion, that's a pretty big deal, but send it out, soon enough, and then it's hard to find, hard to get family and things in town like that. So May 16th, 7 p.m. at the activity center will be our 8th grade promotion. Our awards ceremony for 7th and 6th graders will be the last week of school, and we'll finalize that date at our April BLT meeting. Find out what date works best, because we got we got our annual dodgeball tournament going on, and field day. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So finding the date, takes a little bit of time. On the activities and athletics side of things, we host our league wrestling tournament this Thursday at 1. Starts at 1. We'll have several wrestlers with an opportunity to be league champs. So encourage everybody to come out and support the kids out there. Our Scholars Bowl has had a very good season. We just hosted our home tournament before we got here. I believe our 7th graders, they actually tied for first, but lost the head-to-head, and so ended up finishing second. But they've had a good year. I think our 8th graders had a rough night. They only won 1, but throughout the season, I think both 7th and 8th graders have had several top 3 finishes. So it's been a very successful season for our Scholars Bowl. Our music and band kids will be at the league contest next Tuesday in Pratt. Both vocal and band will compete there, so that'll be fun for them. Our robotics team has their state tournament this Saturday, March 8th in Garden City. If you're looking for a road trip, go out and support them there. We got 4 teams. I think we have 6 total teams in the building. 4 of them qualified for state. And this year there's two openings from Kansas to go to World, so we have an opportunity to send 2 of our teams to World again in Dallas. So we'll have another presentation hopefully here in a couple weeks for you guys. They did do a fundraiser. They went away from the Rada, I believe is what it's called, for the cutlery, and went Krispy Kreme donuts. Did a real good job there. Had good success. There's donuts piled all over in Miss Hammock's room. I know that because they sold so many that Krispy Kreme donated several free dozen donuts. So contact Miss Hammock if you want some donuts. She may have some left for you. $15 a dozen. That goes to a great cause. And then finally, our spring sports is going to start up. Practice will start this week. Looks like we'll have 35 to 40 kids participating in track and anywhere from 25 to 30 participating in tennis. So good participation numbers for our spring sports, and hopefully the weather cooperates. But I think we're trace to 2 inches is what we're supposed to get tomorrow.
Yeah, trace to 2 feet.
And since it's the first week of spring practice, we'll get 9. So,
of course.
Anyway, that's all I got. Any questions?
Where the park is.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, high school activities. Mr. Kraft is out ill, so his report is available for you guys on your Chromebook. I didn't know if there was anything you needed to touch on.
I don't think there was anything.
Wrestling, probably the main thing. They just finished.
Yeah, just finished up this past weekend. Very successful season all the way around.
Usually I'm gone.
For both our boys and girls. Great to watch them. One thing I do want to point out is because of the new format that Keisha has put in, I think most of you are aware, but the boys will actually play Wednesday at Lakin. And I've had a couple people reach out to me. 10 years ago, Keisha was very aligned with the idea of keeping activities off of Wednesdays. That is not the case anymore. So that is a change. And that's really kind of out of our control. And I apologize, but there's really nothing that we can actually do about that one. So, and then I believe, will you be going to KI AAA as well, Mr. Flowers? So it looks like Mr. Flowers and Mr. Kraft will be going to KI AAA, which is the Kansas Intercollegiate Athletic Administrators Association or something along those lines. But a lot of some of the new, you guys looking it up, a lot of the new proposals that Keisha takes actually comes out of KI AAA. So it is good that our activities directors are involved with that and some of the new proposals that are involved there. So, and they represent our size school very well.
Okay, superintendent report.
Okay, just a reminder, right after spring break is the honors banquet. I just want to make sure that I'll put that in the weekly notes as well, just to keep that on the forefront of your memory. I don't remember when the RSVP was due. Is it due the 13th? We're getting that for the honors banquet, Joel.
Yeah, 13.
Okay, so if you haven't already RSVP, please do so. Summer projects we're looking at, continuing to clean out on the east side of the bleachers underneath the high school bleachers. We got part of the way done with that. The west side, they did a phenomenal job. The east side's a little more cluttered, so they'll be working on that. We're actually looking at touching base with a group that reached out last year to do some painting on the bleachers at the high school as well, to kind of update that and see what the best paint is for that. So I should have some updates by next month on that. Doing some, since we've kind of postponed any work for daycare at Roosevelt, we'll go ahead and put a permanent or a semi-permanent fence up and then do some dirt work to make that more easier on the eyes, for a little bit longevity there, and try to get some grass planted as well so it's not an eyesore. I have a gentleman from Hayes coming in to take a look at the activity center stairs. We're looking at a 22-year-old building, so some of the risers and the edges are starting to come off. So we're in the process of getting a solution to fix that. We'll do 2 sets of stairs this summer, the 2 primary ones that are used and are in worse shape, and then we'll do 2 sets next summer. And unless it's just a very inexpensive, which nothing's that way typically, but so we'll do 2 this summer and 2 next summer, and then maybe even add in a couple classrooms with carpet at the middle school, depending on where that quote comes in. And then obviously, as we've talked about, the Roosevelt roof. Just last week, Jordan Mooney, our Student Information Center systems clerk, met with a KSDE auditor for our kids audit, which is our audit that we have every year in terms of actually counting the number of kids for full funding. And so that audit went well. A few items that he and I are going to look at to make sure that we have set up for next year. But we felt like that went really well. And now that audit is wrapping up, we will also be working together on getting the request for proposal for going to bid for our food service. So those are 2 big things that are coming together. And then finally, to wrap up this evening, I want to give a very big thank you for the ability to attend the Super Courageous Leadership Institute in Westlake, Texas, a couple weekends ago. The only thing that I can equate it to, if some of us that are a little more experienced maybe have heard of Arthur Andersen, the Arthur Andersen Group. Arthur Andersen was a consulting and coaching firm, as well as had their hand in insurance and investments. Deloitte is the same way. They have their hand in finance, in insurance. But where I went was on their corporate training center. And so for basically 48 hours from the time I got there to the time I left, it was an immersive experience in terms of just some of the highest level leadership training that I've ever been involved with. We started with a program called Business Chemistry, which was it was to kind of give us an idea of where we were, but then the whole rest of the training used that to say, okay, if you're a driver, how do you communicate with the pioneers and not the influencers, I always get this one wrong, and I'm that person, the integrators. How do you communicate with those people? Sometimes in your business life, you are an integrator, but you need to be a driver to get things done. And so it was good to know where you're at, but then also how you can communicate with those around you in your leadership team, in your groups that you're working with, in the boards that you're working with as well. Then we also talked about communication in that framework, inquiry within that framework, facilitating change and how to do that effectively. And so everything was tied together. And then, we were all using a challenge that maybe we have at school and in our district. And then we use all of the tools that we learned to go ahead and work through that process. And they have given us some graphic organizers to be able to work through those processes. So this was all, I've talked about Deloitte. Deloitte for the last 10 years has actually been doing Principal Courageous or Courageous Principles. And that is, they bring in building principles. And then just recently, the Cook Center for Human Engagement got in the same room with the Deloitte leadership and said, you also need to touch the superintendents. And so that led to a pilot, which those pilot participants came back and then were facilitators. And so we were the first full-on group that they did this with. And then the plan is that they'll do a Courageous 2 coming up in the near future. But I would encourage you, and I've already talked to the building administrators, to, over the next couple of years, send our building administrators to the Courageous Principles 1 and 2. It is a $750, and that covers room and board. Now, those of us in the office, I probably talked more about the food than the leadership side of it, because I'm trying to practice the leadership and not talk about it and bore everybody. But it was from top to bottom, from the time I got there to the time I left, it was a class act and well worth the $750. A lot of shops that we go to are a little bit longer, but they're about a 1/4 inch deep. This one was shorter in time frame, but we went a mile deep. And so it was really, really impactful. And so there were superintendents, assistant superintendents. There were small schools smaller than us. And then, there were large schools like Ogden, Utah, and Ann Arbor, Michigan, and California schools. There was one school that I had as a table partner. They are looking at consolidating 6 elementaries into one building. So 6 K-6 buildings or pre-K-6 buildings into one building. So, but I also talked to a gentleman that he is the principal and superintendent of a district that is smaller than our high school. So it was a great experience. So thank you very much for that. In April, you'll be seeing some information on the Cook Center for Human Engagement and how we can partner with them, with links on our website for parental resources, for mental health resources. So I really believe that they are moving in the right direction and giving parents some resources that we can help provide. So any questions? So again, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any board member reports? Anybody have anything? Nope. Okay. Legislative report.
I would encourage you each evening, Facebook Live, with the ladies, the advocate ladies from KASB, as well as their podcast. A couple areas that have been hot topics. They don't call them vouchers. They're not calling them vouchers, but they are tax credits or some sort of incentives, tax incentives. But basically what it is it's funneling public money into private education with little or no accountability. I want to reiterate, and I've said it in front of you before, we're not against school choice, but if the school choice is going to be there, they need to be held as accountable for the funds as we are. So that is a sticking point. Special education in the House was funded at only $10 million, which is after some federal funds will not be there this year. It only comes out to be about $7.5 million, which is 10% of what they did last year. And then in the Senate side, they have been very sharp with their pencil in cutting out any special education funding, additional special education funding. Do I have that all right?
You're great.
Okay. So there have been some real dramatic differences between the House and the Senate this year. The House has been pretty education friendly. There are a few bills out there that have been a little bit harsh, but the Senate has really taken the charge in terms of being a little more critical of education as a whole. And then there are a few bills out there, and I would encourage you with some of those end of week KSB getting some of the specific bills. But there are 3 or 4 bills out there right now that really are taking local control specifically away from school boards, in terms of how and what can be put on school board agendas and when that can be done, as well as whether or not you can sign a contract with a lawyer. That has to be that would have to be approved by another entity. You cannot sign into an agreement like that. So there's many things that KSB is opposing that strip away your local control. And that's been something that the House and Senate have done for several years. And so, you should have the ability to control, most everything that comes through, and they're trying to strip that. So just, keep an eye on some of those emails and live videos and podcasts as you see fit.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, item 9, consideration of district personnel. I move we go into executive session for, I was going to say 15 minutes, pursuant to discussing non-elected personnel under the KOMA exception for the purpose of discussing nominations and resignations with Mr. Crowd as present. The open meeting will resume, and we'll just say 8:15.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Okay, you guys have met your hour. You're free to go.
Thank you, Ashley.
Sure, I'll find
They were not happy with it.
26 seconds to say. She with herself or at least. Yeah, so. You did have a good statement. For being 20 pounds lighter than everybody else in that weight class.
Okay, coming out of executive session with the following motions. Let me get where I'm supposed to be. I move to accept the resignation of Miranda Berner from the position of Roosevelt first grade teacher at the end of the current school year.
Second.
Does that need to say teacher and coach? Because she's also coaching track?
Doesn't necessarily need to, simply because supplemental contracts are an annual basis.
Just making sure.
All in favor? 6-0. I move to accept the resignation of Kathy Giroux from Roosevelt Elementary at the end of the current school year as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. I move to accept the nomination of Jacob Owen for position of middle school head track coach. Can I keep going? I move to accept the nomination of Stacy Dame for position of high school assistant track coach. I move to accept the nomination of Patricia Evans for the position of head middle school cheer coach. And I move to accept the nomination of Kayla Meadows for the position of middle school head volleyball coach.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0.
Nope, I got it.
Okay. And then we need to do these, right?
Yes, that one.
Okay, I move to terminate and pay out in the amount of $3,322.20 the remaining supplemental contract of Robert England for the position of middle school head track coach as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Okay. I think that's all of those. I move we go into executive session for, how long? 30 minutes? 30 minutes pursuant to discuss the exception for employer-employee negotiations under KOMA, to discuss.
Not that one. You want to do. You want to do non-elect personnel.
Well, that's
So it's just like your first one, I think.
Yeah.
So it's me.
I move we go into executive session for 30 minutes pursuant to discussing non-elected personnel under the KOMA exception for the purpose of discussing administrative contracts.
Second.
With who?
With Mr. Crowdis to be called back as at a later date or later time. So we will.
Did you get my
not a
second?
later. I'm sorry.
Okay.
A later
Like, do I
time,
have
my
to-
goodness, you guys have me all flustered.
You'll be here a while.
And we're just gonna go until 9. How's that?
Sarah's already seconded it multiple
I know,
Okay.
because I'm like, okay.
Let's go then.
You have to vote.
Or you have to vote on
All in favor? 6-0. God, see? This is what happens when you don't have it all written down on the report.
I'm just gonna say, I just put 50 minutes and put that you returned at 9:20, even though it's 9:20.
So we can go in 5 minutes for another topic.
Welcome to the
I really like this coat, by the way, with the red stitching.
I appreciate that. That was a gift
Go to
from
bed
my
and told me
mother-in-law, actually.
Told him.
He's like, I will. Oh, look how wide awake she is. Look at her.
Oh, I know. She went from Let me find it.
Oh, and you can that one.
That's the one.
Georgia.
Oh, where is it? Oh, yeah, we went from this.
Just keeping you guys in line.
Carrie said that was awful. That doesn't look awful.
I know.
Told you.
My God, she looks like she's on
From
outbreak.
that, I know, to that.
Oh.
And she's still got the tape and stuff on her face. Okay. I know, my little sweet girl. All right, coming out of executive session with the following motion, I move to accept the extension of administrative contracts through June 2027.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. One more time. Here we go.
Okay, hold on. Administrative contracts through what?
June 2027. All right, where's the motion?
There's not one.
No, I mean to move. I move we go into executive session for 5 minutes. Pursuant to discussion, the
I'll be done
exception
in 5 minutes.
for employer-employee negotiations under KOMA to discuss negotiations training and negotiations letter information with Mr. Crowd as present. We will resume at 9:30. I got you.
Wait, hold on.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? 6-0. Seconded by Sarah.
I put seconded by
Tracy.
Julia.
Hi, Julie.
No, wait.
I thought. Of executive session with the following motion, I move to approve the letter of intent to negotiate with USD 431 ACE as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. I move to adjourn.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you all. Good turn.
Passes 6-0. Sorry.
Got it.